Hey guys, welcome to the Laying Foundations podcast. This is your co-host Davis Hambrick. Joining alongside me today is Mr. Walker Lott. What's up, Walker?
Davis, what's going on, brother?
Nothing. I love the shirt. Identity, man. I love it.
That's right. Identity. You
Identity
got you
sets you
got to know
free, as
whose
kids
you
say.
are, not just
That's
who
right.
you are.
That's right. That's right. What you been up to, man?
Man, hanging out in Atlanta today. Had a good week. Got my dad's birthday tomorrow. Got my niece's birthday party on Sunday. So big family weekend again. Last weekend had another niece's birthday
That's
party
right.
up in Knoxville. Like the fall, like August time, it's just nothing but traveling to birthday parties for children, and it's
That's right.
fun because usually the parties are hyped. Last week, gymnastics area had that foam pit. She gets to just get on that trampoline and hop in there, as high as you can go. It's sweet.
Right. That's awesome.
Man, what you up to?
Nothing much. Just been hanging out, ready to be over this COVID quarantine, ready to get
Yeah, I
back to
bet you
work.
are.
Driving myself crazy, but ready to get back.
Love it, man. Well, today we had an awesome guest, Isaac Ostrom. He is out in California. He has a YouTube channel called The Tile Coach. So go check him out. If y'all are interested, I would. He's awesome, incredibly knowledgeable. Dude knows what he's talking about. He's got some really cool videos. And what we talked about in the podcast today was he's really great at talking about his failures as well. One of his YouTube videos talks about a shower system that he put in that a couple of years down the road failed. And he goes back and looks at it and shows why. And he does all these different videos of shower systems that didn't work or mistakes he might have made. And he puts beautiful showers in. His company's grown tremendously. Dude's awesome. Such a fun time. We had an incredible time talking with him, learning a little bit more about him, and got to learn a little bit about the tile industry in general that I had no idea about. Davis, what you
Right.
think?
Yeah, that's awesome. Isaac was a really awesome guy. I loved his perspective that he had. You start to see this. Most of the guys that
Yeah.
have been around in construction for a while, they have really good perspective, good wisdom. But what I loved is just kind of that same thing. He talked about his failures openly,
Just
and it's
humble.
that thing we talked about with Jen Lacey 2 podcasts back now was just be vulnerable. Just be you, be who
Hmm.
you are, and be vulnerable. Be willing to break bread with somebody, because most of the times, whenever you admit it or whatever it may be, that other person's probably struggling with something similar as you.
Yeah.
So just be out there, be willing to be vulnerable. But the other thing I loved about it was just how he talks about mentoring and talks about the trades. That's what we're all about. It's one of the founding concepts of Laying Foundations podcast is to talk about how we're going to bring light of the trades and just a foundation of respect for our skilled tradesmen. So love those 2 points, love who he is, and I just really appreciated getting to know Isaac.
Man, same. That was so good. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. I'll let you jump right in there. Please welcome to the show, Isaac Austin. Isaac, welcome to the show, brother. We are so excited to have you here and appreciate you being on the show. Just to start off with, who are you? What do you do? And where are you from?
All right. Well, my name's Isaac Ostrom, otherwise known as Tile Coach on YouTube. And I've been a tile contractor since 2003 is when I got my contractor's license. I got into the trade around 1995, and I was just helping my uncle. And that's how I got introduced to it. My dad he was a school teacher, but he was always working on things around the house. He was kind of a stonemason. He could build stuff. He was a gardener. He pretty much liked to do everything around the yard. And we grew up in the hills, just on a couple acres. And so there was always something to fix. And so I grew up working around the house with my dad. So I had some construction knowledge, but not too much. And then when I was going to college, my uncle was a tile guy. And so I started helping him during the summers and some Saturdays and stuff like that. And so that's how I was introduced to the trade. When I first started doing tile work, I thought it was just really cool. The tile guys, they were just kind of like rock stars to me at that age. They were just the stuff they could pull off and they do. And they were just a little bit different. They were, again, kind of almost like, I would say, like rock stars. The setter that I worked for that my uncle had hired was kind of eccentric. He was part part-time. He was a cannabis grower up in the foothills where we lived, and just kind of a wild man, a great tile setter. He was trained in San Francisco in the Union back in the 80s. And so he had all the skills that, you know, to be a really good tile guy. And so there's, in our area, growing up in California, there's always been a lot of pride around the tile trade, and probably other trades too, though, but I'm not too familiar with them. But, you know, they had a big union presence, and we did some methods that were different than the rest of the country. And everybody just thought, you know, they were the best. It was very competitive between tile setters and tile companies. So it really brought out like some really good craftsmen and artists and just really good tile guys. So that's kind of how I got into it. And although I still was trying to go to school, I just fell into the building trades. I got my associate's degree, and then I was going to be a school teacher because that's what my dad did, my grandpa, and, you know, kind of following in that line. But, you know, after my third year of college, I was just like, no, man, I just don't want to sit in a classroom anymore. Started making some more money and stuff like that. And then, so I'm a family man too. So during that time, we had my first daughter, and right after my second daughter was born, we moved down to the valley here. So we moved from the foothills of the Sierra Nevada here in Northern California down to closer to the Sacramento area, which is just down in the valley. And we just were looking for more opportunity at that time. We had a young family. I was probably 24 at that time. My wife was about 23, and we had two little kids and two little girls, my baby girls. And I kind of had I was still just doing, you know, working for my uncle, picking up some side gigs here and there, but I kind of had a big break with another good family friend who was down here, just randomly needed a tile project done that their tile had flaked on, and I just kind of finished it up. They just hit me up and they're like, Isaac, can you come finish this? And I did, and it came out good. And happened to be that they had a in with a local tile shop. And so they started handing out my card. And from then, you know, that was like 2002, 2003, it was on. And, you know, it was just like from then on, my phone never stopped ringing. And I just, you know, kept it going.
Right. Isaiah, I love that. I mean, I appreciate you telling your story. I love hearing about people's story. And I think it's really cool to think about how you said your dad was a teacher and you're getting into tile. So you see the two things of, maybe that's probably why you love to do YouTube and teach others, because your dad, you know, you almost went and finished that degree in teaching, and then now you're teaching people about tile. I love that. That's pretty cool, and I love to hear about your story. So I appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about why California is so passionate about the tile industry. Like you said, your uncle was a little eccentric, but why is it that the West Coast side is, you know, just so big on tile setting and like the art of it?
Good question. I often think about, you know, California in general a lot because this is my home. It's where I'm from. And, you know, I think the California mentality, or the, you know, there's something about, have you ever been to California? Okay. So I haven't traveled much outside of California. I've been to Idaho. I've been, we were just in Indiana. You know, I've been to Texas and a few other places. Haven't spent too much time traveling around, but there is something different about California. And I've often thought about like what makes California what it is. I mean, obviously it's a big state, right? 1 in every 8 people, I believe, lives in California in our country. That's how big it is. And so, yeah, it's, you know, you think about that, you go, wow. But, you know, it's always attracted like innovation. You know, we've had Silicon Valley, we've had the gold rush, we've had Hollywood. We got all of this stuff that's come up, the arts, the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes all the way back to the pioneer days when, you know, people were getting away from whatever and trying to make a better life for themselves, whether that was a gold rush or, you know, coming from all over the world to Silicon Valley, where the you know, the computer, you know, the internet was born, all of this innovation technology. I think it has just always attracted like this highly competitive atmosphere of people wanting more. And so I think that just kind of has gone into the tile trade. Same thing. It's just like,
Cool.
people want to be the best.
Right.
And so you can go into, like, even in our town here in Sacramento, you can go down to the tile shop, and there's just this attitude about tile guys. They want to be the best. They take pride in it. And so yeah, it's a really cool thing. I don't know if that explained it right, but I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I love that perspective. That's a really cool outlook on it, and that makes me think about, the other thing you mentioned was there's like a tile setting union, and I've never, I mean, that's not even heard of where we are in the South. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I never got into the union. There's still a pretty strong union. Union has declined. Union membership, I believe, has declined over the years. It's not as strong as its heyday in the 80s and the 90s. But it basically made what it did for Northern California, and I believe in Southern California too, is that it made standards for installation that were taught down and passed, to the apprentices and to the helper, and then they became the setters. And so these methods were passed down. So we float. I grew up floating our walls, which isn't done anywhere else in the country. A lot of mud work. We have hot mops, which is different. And I think it was a really good way of teaching a lot of different people. So the methods got standardized and passed down, which it doesn't, I don't know. Now with so much information out there with YouTube and Instagram and people sharing ideas, I think it's kind of leveled that playing field where now everybody has access to seeing different methods and what the best methods and what people are doing. But yeah, I think that played back in those days, I think it played a part in creating the tile culture here in California.
Guys, you brought up YouTube, and then you have a pretty good YouTube channel going on and growing. Every time I look at it, you keep on getting more subscribers to it. So what made you want to start a YouTube channel in the first place and kind of branch into that category?
Yeah, so it was I had a friend who was just trying to help me with some marketing. And so, back in 2010, he was doing a few other things for me. He was doing some cold call. The economy at that time was tough, right? Like 2010, we were scraping the bottom of the barrel for jobs. It definitely wasn't like it is now. So I had gone just to myself and a helper. I always stayed busy, but there were jobs where I didn't have another job in front of me. So I had him helping me try to round up more work, just making cold calls to general contractors and just passing out flyers and stuff like that. And one of his ideas he had was to do a YouTube channel. And he said, if you can make a YouTube channel and kind of present yourself as an industry expert, he said, this will really help you get more jobs. And so he said, he told me, he said, just make a video on some tutorial, something that you do in tile, and we'll start with that. And so that was my very first video, was a how to float a shower video. And so I made that one and didn't think too much of it. I mean, some people were watching it, but gosh, it sat with, I don't know, if you guys have a YouTube channel, you probably know what it's like. You make a video and you're like, what, 46 views in 2 weeks? You're like, how are people going to see this? You feel like that. And so I kind of left it alone. I made that video, then I made, I think, one more video, maybe like 3 or 4 months later, on how to lay out a tile floor. And then the same thing, nobody's watching it. So I'm like, yeah, this is kind of pointless. And just left it. And then like 4 or 5 years later, like, I think I just went back and checked. It was probably around 2015. And I was really busy between the time I started in 2010 and 2015, trying to just build up my own company because the economy started coming back. So during that time, we built our showroom. We moved from our original house to a bigger house. I mean, we just had a lot of stuff going on that I couldn't mess with the YouTube, but I did go back and check it, and I noticed people had been subscribing to it, and I was probably up to like maybe 1,000 subscribers. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, people are kind of checking it out now. And so I made a couple more videos, and then the more I made, then it just started going and going. And then I kind of had a break with one of my videos. I did a video on kerdi. Are you familiar with schluter kerdi? Okay, so
Yeah.
I made a video with schluter kerdi, and at the time I was one of the area's biggest schluter guys, because
dang.
again, we did all of the mud work here, and I always thought the schluter kerdi was really cool. I just thought it was, the orange. I thought it was a really neat product. So I was one of the first ones in my area to use it. And so I was in with all the reps and everything. Well, I was trying to promote their product, and so I just started doing these testing videos. And then I did a testing video that I built with the guys at Schluter, my Schluter reps. We had a big barbecue. I had like 10 other tile guys here, and we built this cool demo out of schluter kerdi. And so that was cool. But then I filled it up with water, and over a week's time, the whole thing leaked out. And so I made a video on that, and that just tripped everybody. That video kind of it didn't go viral, but around the tile community, that video got out. It ended up on the desk of the head of Schluter, and he gave me a call. But it was kind of, it was a trip. I mean, it was good for YouTube. It was a lot of turmoil kind of in my life, because it was like my reps were pissed at me, and I really had to make a decision at that time. Like, am I gonna like expose this? Because for one, I've done a lot of these showers before, and for two, it's like I'm kind of screwing over my sales reps. They're but I decided, I wrestled with it, and I was like, I think tile guys need to know how this stuff works. And so I went ahead and put it out there. And anyways, that kind of got a lot of people looking at my videos, and then it just kind of grew from there too. Once that happened, my subscribers really started going up. Tile guys started paying attention to me, and it created kind of a controversy again, which is good for media, where there were guys saying, oh, Schluter's the best, it never leaks. And then there's the guys who were like, I knew it. I knew Schluter would leak. And so the way it turned out, though, is that there's Schluter works for what it's intended to do, which is a shower that's taken and it dries out. It's not meant to be like a bathtub, which we all had assumed it was. We thought it was a waterproof product. Okay. It is a waterproof product, but the thin set that holds it together is not waterproof, so you can't let it sit underwater. Yeah. And so it was actually kind of cool what's happened from that, because it's like, Schluter's had to come clean a little bit and just be like, admit that this is the way it works. It's a good product, it works, but it's not waterproof. And that's the way their early marketing was always pressing, was it's a waterproof system. So now that everybody understands how it works, it's good. It's all good. And so, but yeah, that video really kind of got my YouTube ramped up. And then I did a video on a failure, and then that video actually went viral. So you guys might have seen that video. It's up to like 2.2 million views or something. But that video was a shower that I did like 13. Well, now it's probably 15 years ago. Wow. And it was a shower that I did, and it leaked and failed. And it was a product that the owners had purchased. It was like a kit, and I put it in. And so I wasn't liable for it. And I had them sign off on it at the time, because we were doing hot mops. And I was like, I've never done this. If you want me to use it, I can't be liable for it, because I've never even seen it before, but we'll do it. I'll follow the instructions and do it. Well, anyways, that thing failed and rotted out. So I actually made a video titled, I tiled this shower and it failed. And that just, again, that's just a catch. When people saw that, they're like, this guy is showing like his mistakes. And then that video went viral, and I got a ton of subs. And I went from like 10,000 subscribers to like 30 in the matter of like a week. I mean, it
That's
was just like
crazy.
every day. Yeah, it just shot up. I think it shot up to 1 million views in like a week. It was crazy.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I just got. Sorry, go for it.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, and so anyways, then I knew there was a little niche in YouTube. If you do YouTube long enough, you'll find they want to put you in a niche that's gonna have like a group of viewers that are loyal and looking for what you specifically have to offer. You know, YouTube is because they want to pinpoint their advertising, so they want to get as fine-tuned of a viewership as possible with each channel. They want to get a demographic locked into your channel. So I found that the failure videos is what YouTube really wanted to see. So I always mix in, like, I try to get a failure video in like maybe once a month or once every couple months at least. And those videos do really good. And then I have my teaching videos kind of as fillers in there. And so I've got a pretty good system now. And, you know, a lot of it's figuring out what YouTube wants you to put on your stuff.
It's a great point.
I love that because you know, that was one of the things I actually wrote down. It was a different video, but I loved how you showed your failures. And from a different side, it takes a lot of self-security of going, like you kind of wrestled with that with the whole schluter and the reps, like you talked about, was like, dang, do I really tell these guys? Like, do I put this out? I'm sure the internal, what you were thinking about while you're about to post that was a lot. But one of the videos I talked about is the one where you talked about you had a client that was very particular, and it was about the countertop, that there was a crack in the seam of the light. And I just loved how you went through it. You just said, you know, it may have been my fault. I didn't show up to the meeting. I knew she was a particular client. I didn't communicate well. And man, I just want to give you kudos for that, because it just showed, hey, you're taking ownership, and sometimes you're going to lose money on it, but that reputation of what you did there really speaks volumes of who you are. So I want to give you kudos for that. But the other point I had was really cool. Was I'm reading a book right now. It's called Content Corporated. I'm trying to get Walker to get into it. So
I haven't started yet. I'm going to though.
There you go. But you know, it's funny because you mentioned you're like 2 weeks and 46 videos. That's it. Like 46 people that saw the video views. And you start to the wrestling, like, man, do I really want to do this? And I heard something the other day, and it's from that book, and it was talking about like to produce good content, it's a struggle. So it takes like just time and time and time. You have to be like relentless in how you do it. But I don't really know where I'm going with that, but I just thought it was pretty cool, those 2 points.
Yeah. So one of the things with YouTube, and I have a lot of people that reach out and, you know, they want to do a YouTube channel, and, you know, they'll send me a video and I'll check it out and give them tips. And one of the things that I think people miss most often is they try to be somebody who they're not. And I tell them, I say, man, YouTube just wants you to be authentic, be yourself, and just be okay with that. A lot of people want to just, you know, do all this stuff and like be in your face, and I'm going, dude, that's not you. You got a great personality. Just be who you are. And if you are excitable and loud, hey, that's who you are. Run with it. Don't try to be chill and quiet. But that's one of the things that I always tell people, you know, be authentic, be who you are. Don't try to portray yourself as somebody you're not, because YouTube and the viewers will see right through it. They'll just click off of it. I mean, it's a competition, and that's the thing. When you start making videos, you got to look at it like, hey, you know, this person who's watching this video has millions of other videos they can be looking at. So you got to catch their attention within that first 10 seconds. Don't drag it on, get to the point. Don't start throwing up your logos and all this stuff. And, you know, no, get to the point of the video, hook them in there with what's going to happen in the video, and just be straight about it. And don't use clickbait. Don't do any of that stuff. And then you'll get that viewership that wants to see you, because now they feel connected with you because you're being real. And so that's my main advice for people who are, you know, in those early days, because yeah, it's tough. And to be honest, most people just say to hell with it, you know, because it is hard. You know, it's not only hard work doing it, it's hard work doing it and not getting any reward for it. And not just not getting a reward for it, but there's a lot of there can be a lot of negative feelings about putting yourself out there too. things that, you'll lose sleep at night and go, man, should I have said that? Or, you'll get the comments coming in and you're just like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that or this or that. So it is hard work, but for me, I mean, it's paid off. It's the persistence is paid off. So I think everybody has to answer that for themselves, whether they're willing to, run the gauntlet with the YouTube thing and really make it work, because there's a lot of other things you can do for money. Believe me, there's things that, there's times when I go, man, if I just put all this time and attention in that I do for my YouTube into my regular contracting job, I'd, be a multimillionaire. But I love it. I love the create, I'm a competitive person. So I love that competitive, if I see myself getting kicked down, I want to get back up and I want to just keep going. And I also want to be, I like being creative. To me, it's a creative outlet. The way I shoot my videos, the way I produce them, the way I teach them, the way everything about it is like a creative process that also has the viewership involved, because they're kind of, again, your audience is also shaping what your content is too, because without them it wouldn't happen. So you put it out there, you see what sticks, see what people like in general, and then it's like a collective effort of creating this content. And to me, it's a form of art. So I really enjoy that part. And if I ever get sick of it, one day, then, that'll be it. But it's going good now.
I love that, Isaac. I think you had a ton of great points in that. And one thing, me and Davis, like I said, we said earlier, I think this is our 31st episode that we're coming out with, something like that, or 30 something. I know we've done over 30. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, me and Davis struggled with just doing it, to be honest, talking on a podcast or on Zoom to someone in person like this, or over video like this, because it's in person, we can do it all day long. I can talk to a brick wall, but there's something weird about being filmed about it, that you want to change who you think you are. And, that's not the case. And it's just something that we had to realize. Hey, look, people, first of all, they don't know us. So they don't know what we're like. And so that we don't have to try to hide anything because they've never met us before. And second of all, you can't keep up that facade going long enough, because eventually it's going to come out and people are going to be like, oh wait, so who is this guy that we're listening to, right? Is he Walker, or is he this facade or fake, look that you put out? And I love that you're saying that, because I feel like a lot of people on YouTube they want to be like someone else. They see all these different YouTube channels that are doing really well. And so they try to imitate what those channels are doing by acting like the people on there, and that's just, like you said, that's just not the case. Just be you, do it, and go out. And I love that.
And I'd say my other favorite YouTuber, and I mentioned it before, was Sal de Blasi, and he's from Boston. He's got a thick Boston accent. He's just an older dude. And I told him, my dude, Sal, just hearing your voice, on the videos is what makes me want to watch them. I hear your Boston. It's just so cool to hear it. And that's just him. He's not trying to be anybody else. He's just being himself, and it really works. And he's been like kind of my role model as far as like wanting to, what I'd want my channel to be like. And, so he's been kind of, you need those role models too, right? In anything in life. And I think that's one thing that I've had going for me. First of all, my father, who was a hard worker, he was a good example. The early tile setters that I looked up to. And so I think that's really important, especially in construction. If people are getting into construction, you need somebody to look up to. There needs to be those people where you're like, man, I want what they have. And I think for a long time, the construction trades didn't have that going for them. There's a lot of selfishness. I don't know, that it just, again, social media has awakened that again. You see people posting these incredible things, whether it's tile work or even electricians and plumbers. Plumbers can put some stuff in, like a boiler room and all their piping, and I'm going, man, that just looks sick. Yeah. And so awesome. I think, and that's, I think that the trades are being built back up. For one, the money is better than you're going to find, even if you're a banker, mortgage broker, stuff like that, construction's where it's at right now. So the money's coming up and the prestige. And so when I first started my YouTube channel, I saw like a huge need for getting more people into the trades, and we still need them. Skilled labor, there's still a big shortage because everybody, I would say, people are less likely to put in the grind, being an apprentice, being humble, and working really hard. A lot of people want to just get into it and be like, oh, hey, I want to start making a bunch of money. Well, that's not really how it is. But when I created my channel, I wanted to make it attractive for kids who are in high school, an alternative option for going to college, because as you know, everything that's told to kids coming out of high school, I mean, well, from the minute you get in high school, they're giving you the track to get to a 4-year university, right? And so like that's pretty much the only option. If you're not going to a 4-year university or a junior college, you're pretty much a failure. I mean, even like the kids who are going to JCs were looked at, oh, he's just going to a JC. And so, I was a high school football coach too, and I saw all these kids with like could have been like really good skilled builders, but they were just like, nah, mom and dad want me to go to college, and then they get some degree that just is useless now. And so the point of my early in the YouTube channel was to get, and you'll hear me in my videos talk about getting people into the trades. Find another contractor that is reputable, that has a life that you want to have, and hook up with them. Go learn from him, learn what he did, learn the skills that he has, how he interacts with people and everything, and then jump on in. But yeah, I think it's a lot better now than when I started my channel. It was like there was nobody getting into the trades. Now the money's so good that there's probably going to be a lot more people getting into it.
Isaac, I love that you brought that up, because the whole premise of Laying Foundations podcast is just exactly what you said. Me and Davis, we didn't know about really construction as a career. We were both in different majors and ended up transferring, switching, ending up in construction. And we went the 4-year degree. We went that route, but only to realize that, hey, we didn't necessarily have to go that. Davis almost went the trade route, because he was like, I'm sick of this.
Right.
And so we started Laying Foundations just because we saw these high school kids coming out that just don't know what to do. They don't want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, an engineer. But to them, they've been told, like exactly what you just said. They've been told so many times by all these different people that, well, if you're not one of those, then I guess you're a failure. There's nowhere else to go. I guess you're going to end up doing XYZ job for the rest of your life, or working in a factory, whatever, all these different things. But because then you hear dirty construction worker. That's what we always say on here. That's what people think. They see people on the side of the road and they blame them for everything. But little do they know that guy in muck boots in the hole digging something out is probably making double what some of the guys driving past the road's making. And he's the reason that they can drive on that road, and it's like, I don't know. It's crazy because people just don't realize that. And so for you kind of mentioned it already. You kind of answered my question, but what advice would you give to these high schoolers, young college age kids who are like, I'm thinking about the trades, but I don't know if I can pull the trigger yet. What's something you would say to them?
Well, I'd probably just say, I think we're all born with unique talents and have different tendencies to go into, right? I know that there's guys that are, can sit longer than others and can just concentrate. My son is actually one of them. He loves video games. He's 12 years old, and doing things. I mean, he'll play some ball and stuff, but for the most part, he can sit and tinker with the computer. He built his own PC. He can do stuff like that. And for me, I'm more of a doer. I'm like always out wanting to do things, build things, hike, hunt, fish, whatever, play golf, whatever it is. And so I think we all have, unique talents, to our own individual self. And so I think there just needs to be the option for those kids. And I think one of the things I also believe strongly that ADD and ADHD is way overdiagnosed, just because there's kids that are like myself, that need to be doing things, that can't
Yeah.
sit in a classroom. And so I think there just needs to be an avenue for those kids to be able to go and have a successful life, without feeling like it's a step back. We're just wired a little bit different. So I don't think the trades are for everybody. I think, but it is for some people. And I think most people, by the time they're in high school, they know what kind of person they are. They know what they like to do. And so for those people, getting into the trades, I would say, you just, gosh, how would I even put it? I always tell people, again, just find somebody that looks like they're a good person. And again, the trades have had a bad name for a long time, because it's, kind of synonymous with alcoholism, drug addiction, just being tired and beat down. The construction worker you'd always hear about, was just old, smoking cigarettes and beat down, their joints hurt, their back hurts. And you're like, man, I don't want that life. But it's changed a lot. There's a lot more awareness about alcoholism and drug addiction. There's better safety. We wear knee pads now, we wear respirators, we wear eye protection, so you're not killing yourself. And so it's a lot different now than it was. I mean, there's a lot. You can have a healthy life in the trades. You don't have to, drink beer, a 6-pack of beer every day, just to make yourself feel better after work. And so for me, I quit drinking when I was 24 years old. I've been clean and sober ever since. And so that's
Congrats.
been
That's awesome.
yeah. And so that's been a huge difference for me too, is that I always tell people, you know, contracting, and if you're self-employed, it doesn't end after work. You usually have some phone calls to make. If you're drinking a lot, you're going to forget those little details. You're going to forget what you got to do in the morning, this, that, and that. But I always tell people, look for a contractor that has what you want, whether that's a company. It could be a company, and you see their trucks driving around, and you go, man, those guys look like they have it going on. Or it could just be one guy you see in the Home Depot, and just be like, hey man, you need any help? I'd like to help out. Pay me minimum wage, and I just want to check it out. But yeah, it's usually just jumping in there, but it takes the right person. Again, I wouldn't want to tell somebody who is more predisposition to be a desk worker, or something like that, to go out and jump right in with a construction guy, because you'll just get eaten up. I mean, if it's not for you. And I guess you could always find that out too. You'll know real quick if it's for you. For me, I knew right when I started doing tile, I had it. And so I just started looking for people that could be those role models and do what they did.
All right. Isaac, I love that. You mentioned a lot of cool points I want to hit on really quickly. One of them, I love the talents of people that can sit and can't, because I'm one of those guys that, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of already just like moving around. And, for me, my fiance, she would tell me that you were literally just like born to go into construction, because I can't sit still for longer than, 10 minutes. And so I think that's exactly right. You don't want people that can't do it, because if you're more inclined, like your son, God love him, I'm glad that he can do that and sit there and tinker with video games and computers, because I can't do it. We need people that can. But if you're one of those guys that's just a go-getter and wants to get after it and be a little more physical, I mean, this is the industry for you. So I love that perception. And then also, that's one of the things we've talked about too, of the misconception around trades, like you mentioned. I'll hit on it really briefly. Is there's more awareness and safety, and we need to do a better job of just, on each call me and Walker we're on, we try to mention that, construction is still number one in suicide, the number one industry in suicide. And so this industry, like, we're working, like you said, to change that perception, and we're working to help people realize that this is a better industry. But it starts with people like us that want to talk about it, and talk about, there are some difficulties in it, and we're not going to shy away from it. But go find the people, like you mentioned, go find that contractor that is a good dude or a good lady that wants to give you a shot, and go learn from them. And that's where I wanted to go, is mentoring, because you mentioned it earlier, and you mentioned it how which I don't remember how to say his name, the Boston guy, but how he kind of
Sal.
mentored your YouTube, Sal, right? And what is that like for you? Because you've now been in the YouTube, and you've been working as a tile setter, and there had to have been someone on both sides talk to you and mentor you. I cannot speak, more highly of people that are willing to go teach younger kids that want to come into construction. What is that whole role like?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's one of the most enjoyable things that I've had is my brother-in-law, who's my wife's brother, Steve. He came on board in 2004. So right after I started my company, he came to work for me. He was right out of high school, and he kind of didn't have another path to go. He was starting to get in a little bit of trouble, and we kind of took him under our wing. He lived with us for uh, 3 or 4 months and started working for me. And it's been incredible. He's still working for us. He's my main guy. He makes almost 100,000 a year. Well, he might even make more than that, but he bought his first house 2 years ago here in California, which that's not easy to do.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, and so seeing to me, seeing that happen is incredible, and it's happened numerous times within my company. Seeing that happen, and to me, that's what it's all about. And on the other end, there were people that helped me. Like I said, I mean, even from that very first break that I got, doing the job that the other person had flaked on, they didn't need to go, handing out my business cards at their tile shop. And then, I met other people that just wanted to help. Another one, a guy's name is Jeff Albright, and they have a supermarket chain here, and he was their lead construction guy, and I ended up doing his house as a referral through that same tile shop. And then he just told me, he's like, hey man, come down and check out this store. We're building these supermarkets. And at the time I was like, no way, man, I can't do a supermarket. I just tile floors and countertops and showers. And he goes, no, check it out. So and now that's been my best client year over year for like 15
Wow.
years. And he didn't have to
So
do
cool.
that. He just saw something in me, and he was like, you got potential. And that relationship has been ever since. And so, yeah, there's just been people along the way. I believe in God. I believe, Jesus is at a big part of my life, and that's just part of it. I can't explain it. I wish I could, but it's a faith thing and a belief thing that it's just happened and it's worked out. So it's a beautiful thing. It's not just wasn't just me out there. You hear a lot of the motivational stuff that's like, oh, you got to just go get it. You do it and you do more and you do more and you do more. It's like a lot of the times I think that's counterproductive. I think you got to take your foot off the gas, pray a little bit, meditate, find out where you are, find out what you want, hook up with the right people, network, treat people well, and let that stuff unfold what God has for you, what he wants you to be, your purpose in life. So that's kind of what I've tried to let happen through this whole thing.
Yeah, I love that. And Walker, if I can, just real quick, the
for
go
it.
get it and go get it and go get it. That kind of reminds me. I've been open on the podcast to talk about how God's changed my life, but during that time, I feel like that's what I was. Just get it, like go grind. And there's nothing wrong if you just want to work hard and bust your butt. Nothing about it. But you miss this opportunity, like you said, to be to submit something that's bigger than yourself, to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to give the control up, and wherever it goes, God, I'm just going to trust in you. If you do that, holy cow, that's a very freeing point in your life if you get to that. But I love that point. And Walker, I don't know if you had something, but I was going to keep going if that's all right.
Go for it, brother.
Okay, so we've talked a lot. We talked a little bit about the tile setting union. We talked about how you grew up through the trades and are working in your business, but also in YouTube. We talked about some talents in the high school realm of people going into the trades. talk about a little bit of the technology and the product side, because I know there's probably been a huge shift from when you first started to the different types of products that are now out. Like I don't even really know how to really begin in this area, but what has it been like trying to figure out, okay, well, this is the product I use for this shower, or this is what I use for that. What has that been like as you've grown and your experience has gone, but you're also trying to figure out which product I use or which technology that best fits, my business.
Yeah, for me it's been a lot of fun. The new stuff that comes out, I love trying new methods, new products, new ideas. And today I think we have some really good systems that we're kind of taking over from the European way of doing things. Now we're using sealed systems in showers instead of the old pan liners where you got a saturated mud bed and everything has to weep. We're using bigger tiles. We got linear drains. We have, yeah, and so these sealed systems have allowed us to do some really cool things, like the linear drains, like the curbless entry showers where you don't have a lip going over, like putting in heated floors into a shower. That's one of my favorite things to do, is when we do a heated tile floor that goes
Cool.
all the way through the shower up on the bench, and
Awesome.
getting all that stuff done. Putting lights in shower niches, LED lighting, and so yeah, there's a lot of new technology that's been pretty cool. At first, again, because it was our the way we grew up here in California, I mean, there's a lot of resistance even for myself at first, but I've embraced it since. And there's some really cool products coming up. There's a guy, his name is Chase, and he invented a drain. He's from Utah, and he invented a drain similar to a schluter kerdi drain. And that's all he does is the drains, and he sells them. They're interchangeable with any of the schluter Laticrete systems. And he's just a dude from Utah who's a tile guy and just made it happen.
That's
And
cool.
it's incredible. Chase Twitchell, he's done an incredible job with flow effects. And so yeah, I embrace the new stuff. And one of the cool things about my YouTube channel is that people just send me stuff all the time and I get to try it out. I mean, I got just packages laying around my office here that I haven't even opened, because they just send me and I get to open it. Go, oh, this is cool, or probably won't use this. but yeah, so much new technology. It's a lot of fun.
Isaac, what's been your all-time favorite shower you've ever done, or bathroom that you've ever done for a client?
Man, that's a tough one.
And why? Or one of
All-time.
your favorite. It doesn't have to be your all-time favorite, but what makes a shower you step back and you're like, man, this is one I love.
Yeah, I like tiles. I like tiles with personality. I like seeing what I consider like real tile. We're getting a lot of the big tiles that are just look like concrete or stone. And I just really like the look of a tile, like a printed tile or something that kind of looks, old school. We did a shower, I think I have a playlist on my YouTube that's called Summer 2020, Summer 2020 or May 2020, I think is what it was called, May 2020. We did it last year, kind of right in the middle of COVID, but it was this really cool shower. We did like this printed tile, and it had all of the different, and we did one big accent wall in the shower. It was like, I think it was like a 9 or 10 foot wide wall, 2 shower heads. And then it was just tricked out. Again, it had 2 big linear drains in it, heated floor, all that stuff. I'd say that's one of my favorites. And usually what makes my jobs favorites too is the clients that we're working with. We get to work with just some incredible people. That's one of the blessings that we've had through YouTube, and just an abundance of work that's come in, that we really get to choose our clients, basically, for lack of a better term. And it's usually just this awesome relationship that ends up like family, and we work together. And so yeah, that was Janice and Ernie Daniels, just incredible, sweet people. And so yeah, that whole project just came out amazing. Yeah, I always say, good clients get good results. It's just the way it is. If they're a pain in the ass, the job hardly ever goes well. If they're stressing on little details and items, it's like Murphy's Law, man. It just goes wrong. So we do our best to vet our clients and make sure we have that good relationship. And we're blessed, man. I mean, this job, there's just some days I go, I can't believe this is my job. It's like the perfect job. I get to work with whoever I want. I'm not stressed. I get to do YouTube videos when I want. I get to work, because that's the thing too, is, so we have 5 employees, and I probably could not work at all if I wanted to, but I really like to get my hands dirty every once in a while. But I don't have to do it all the time, right? It's like I get to choose what days I want to work and do a little project. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. And I want to, before I forget, I want to just say, I didn't know that the suicide rate for construction workers was so high.
Yeah.
That's a crazy statistic. I wonder if that's like self-employed contractors, or if that's just construction workers and that makes that so high. I don't know, because it is I mean, construction can be a really stressful job. And I don't know. I'm so glad there's so much more awareness about mental health, and
Yep.
people needing breaks, and just take the foot off the gas every once in a while. I mean,
Right.
I think that's what, if there is a silver lining to all this COVID craziness going on, is that we were forced to take our foot off the gas for a little bit.
That's right.
And
You're
Lord's
forced
got
to
a
really
plan for everything.
right, and figure out what's most important to you. That was a blessing in disguise there. But yeah, talking about the mental health and awareness, we actually had a guy on here. His name's Nihar Trivedi, and he actually is in Seattle, so close to the West Coast
Close to
there.
you.
There you go. And he just wrote a research paper all about mental health and what it's like for tradesmen, and the statistics and stuff that he's working through, and the stuff that he does to prepare to go speak and just go talk about it. I mean, it's mind blowing. And I really getting to hear him, and from, I mentioned on here, my aunt was a counselor at one point. Now she does leadership, but those two sides just make me like, whenever I'm out on my job site, I just want to go listen to guys and figure out who they are and what makes them drive and what makes them tick, because who knows what they're going through. I have no clue. I know that the construction industry is changing, and I'm excited. Walker and I are very excited to be a part of that, and we're just trying to highlight the good people and bring more of that and change. But I also know there's some stuff that's still going on, like you said, that there might be people that take a 6-pack every night, and that's how they go to bed. And that's tough. And that's one of the things I just want to or try to encourage people is, like you mentioned, relationships changes everything. Your relationship with your employer, or just the guy you're working with, or whomever it may be, don't be in a bad situation to where it's like, man, like I'm stressing over life this much, or my job sucks. Like, life's too short to stress out about what you do. And if you're not passionate about it, go find out. And sorry, Walker, I know you had something.
No, man, I was just going to talk about, I was on one of the GCs I was working with over the summer. We had a guy that his desk was right next to mine. He committed suicide shortly after I left. He was in the military, and I think that was part of it, PTSD stuff too. But the crazy thing is, you would have never known. I talked to him every single day. Dude, happy dude, made jokes all the time, funny. Everyone loved him. He's great to be around. And then just one day didn't show up to work. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. The construction trade, I think, because we have, it's just task. You want to get this amount done in a day, and you just shoot for it, and you go for it at all costs. That it's like a hamster wheel, man. You just go, and living like that day after day after day can really wear you down. And I mean, one thing, I was at lunch today, I was noticing, I was watching the sports channel while we're eating, and they had a thing about Simone Biles, and she just said she wasn't sorry for what happened in Tokyo, she said. And And I thought about it and I go, well, isn't that a cool thing for somebody to be able to just tap out, right? Be like, dude, I just can't handle this right now. Sorry. Time out. I need a break. I need to go home. I need to relax. I'm just stressed out. I can't deal with it. And that being okay, because we're not machines. I mean, we have a breaking point. We need that time. So my guys, yeah, my crew that I work with, yeah, every once in a while, one of my guys will just call me and say, hey, Isaac, I'm just not feeling good today. And, they don't make up an excuse. They don't say I'm sick. They just, I'm not feeling good today. And I'm like, okay, man, chill out, get some rest. If you didn't sleep, get some rest. We'll see you tomorrow. And I think, again, I think that's because I wasn't always that way. I think COVID did help with that, realizing that there's more to life than just the hamster wheel with everything, because we were forced to pause. We were forced to, we didn't have any more distractions. We didn't have work as a distraction. We didn't have sports as a distraction. We didn't have all this stuff that we used to keep our minds busy all the time, and it just had to shut down. And so with me, I just did a lot of reflecting, like, man, yeah, why are we doing this? Why are we working so hard? Why are we ignoring our kids and just working so much? A lot of that stuff came up during that, but I'm really grateful that we're at a place where people can say that, I'm not doing well today, I need a break. And that's just, I think we've come a long ways in that. And hopefully that does change that statistic of, people, going out. I mean, that's crazy, man. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, you don't know what people are going through. You have no idea what people are dealing with. And a lot of people who have money doing well, that are affluent.
Yeah.
And if they're not feeling that purpose, and they're getting that isolation, it's not good. And that's one thing I love about our trades too, is that we get to work with other people. We're working together. We're not in a cubicle, right? We work with, shoulder to shoulder with somebody. I mean, those are my favorite days. We just did a project, a charity project, of somewhat charity project. We had some help on it, but we had to turn around this bathroom in 5 days. It was a lady who had a brain tumor, and we were trying to just fix her bathroom as fast as we could because of what she was going through. And there were 5 of us in that bathroom on the first day in one bathroom. We had the best time, man. It was just so cool. Just, we'd almost just trade off, and we worked like just a great little team in there. Everybody stayed busy,
Right.
but yeah, I love that part about being able to work with somebody. And that's another thing I got to tell all my people in the trades, and this goes along with mentorship. If you got it, man, get a helper. I mean, it makes it so much enjoyable to have an apprentice. Not for one, you're teaching somebody. For two, it's just making it more enjoyable. You're not beating your body up as much. And it does take a little bit of effort to explain things. And that's usually what people complain about. They go, oh man, I have to explain everything. I go, well, yeah, you do, but that passes. And then all of a sudden it's benefiting you. Now they know what to do without even saying it. But a lot of guys in the construction trade want to work by themselves. And again, I think that's part of the mental health thing that probably eats people up. If you're just grinding away on it in a tile shower for 8 hours a day by yourself, that's like being in solitary confinement. It's like,
Right. Mind numbing.
Yeah.
Behind
So,
bar.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac, I love that. Love you being willing to open up and share with us. And as we kind of wrap up, Walker and I always ask these last 2 questions. And so, going back to the mentoring side and the high schoolers, I would want to ask you is, what are some qualities you would tell to give young people that are trying to come into the industry? What are some qualities that you think they should have?
I would say punctuality, being on time is probably one of the most important things. Being reliable, being where you say you're going to be there. Having a vehicle is probably one of the biggest roadblocks we see now with young people. and I don't know what that is. I mean, when I was younger, everybody just got cars and that's what we did. Now it seems like younger people are less likely to get their license, when they're sick, they wait a little bit longer to get their license. I don't know if they don't see the need to, or maybe their parents are a little overcautious or something, but it seems like we have a lot of trouble with transportation, and that's one of the biggest keys to being hireable, is having reliable transportation. So yeah, being on time, being early, it's okay to be early. That was taught to me early on. It's okay, be 10 minutes early. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings if you're 10 minutes early. And yeah, that's about it. Just be willing, have an open mind, and the rest kind of takes care of itself.
I love that. I always go back to when I have a meeting or anything, I always go back to the saying, it's like, when you're early, you're on time, when you're on time, you're late, and when you're late, you're fired.
Yeah.
I always think about that when I'm about to have a meeting with someone. But Isaac, so the last question I always ask people, and hopefully it stumps you, because we usually get some pretty good answers on it. But if you've been in the industry for a long time, you've been in business for a long time, and you live life for a long time. So you've seen a lot of different things that have been around. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self with the knowledge that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, shoot. I would probably tell myself to enjoy the ride.
That's a good one.
I think a lot of my life, I kind of alluded to it a little bit before, I was always trying to get somewhere else, grinding. If I just get to here, if I can just get this, if I can just get that. And really that's a trap, because that's a never-ending cycle that you can just keep going and going. And I wish when I was younger, when I was in my mid 20s and I had little kids, I think I would have spent more time just enjoying it, and not focusing so much on where I needed to get, but enjoying it a little bit more. I think that's probably what I would tell myself, that all of these, the path is what it's all about. It's not about arriving to some place, it's the journey to get there. That's what and as I've gotten older, I've realized that then the little hiccups, the little road bumps that veer you off of the course where you thought you were going to go, actually end up being some of the best things that ever happened to you. And so that's some advice that I would go back and give myself. Just enjoy the ride, man.
I love that, because Walker mentioned that early on with us about the podcast, and kind of what you mentioned earlier. We joked about it. Man, we only got 46 views of these past 2 weeks, but if we don't enjoy the ride, whenever we're able to say we get to, we're having a crazy amount of views, that's great. But if we didn't enjoy it the whole time, then what was the point of doing it in the first place? So I love that. Walker has some good wisdom there. So do you, Isaac.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah. I mean, because it could never, again, like I got my silver play button, 100,000 subs back in February, and it didn't take long before I was like, okay, what's it going to take to get 1 million? I mean, really, it can turn. Then I said, no, I'm really going to enjoy this. This is awesome. And my wife and my daughters ended up making me a cake with, 100K subs. We had a big party. I was like, man, this is incredible. And then I just spent more time thinking about what it took to get to where I was at instead of where I need to go. And it was really cool. So yeah, that's about it, man.
I love it. Isaac, thank you so much for being on the show, man. We had an awesome time. Love learning about you, and I appreciate all the wisdom and guidance and knowledge that you gave us today. It's awesome.